What's going on, YouTube vinyl community? It's your old pal Mikey Bananas from the Grown Men Record Night program, back to do another video. Tonight we're going to be tackling DrOktöber's soundtrack contest, a chance to win some pretty sweet Italian soundtrack music. Pretty awesome stuff. DrOktöber is a new pal of ours. It's really funny videos, really neat guy, really awesome taste in music. So if you're not subscribed, I'm going to leave a link in the description. Please go do that. He just asked us to simply show 3 soundtracks, and you may ask, where are you going to go with this? Some obvious choices, maybe? Carpenter? No. Morricone? No. There's one thing I like better than expertly crafted music. It's cheese. Cheese! So to that point, I didn't really mean for it to happen, but over the last several years, I've kind of found myself digging back through these 80s soundtrack stuff of some cheesy ass movies, and I really dig the stuff, especially late at night. And maybe this comes from my newfound love of synthwave music, and a lot of this stuff kind of harkens back to that 80s synthwave vibe. Maybe that's where it came from. First one on the list. Actually, I'm going to sneak in 2 honorable mentions. This is my cheesy way of, cheesy, see? To sneak in 2 other records. A movie you've probably never seen. Electric Dreams. Dude buys a bunch of computer equipment, takes over his house. Incredible movie. A movie I like, this is VCLT from my buddy Curtis, actually. And I like the movie better than I do the soundtrack, but the soundtrack is growing on me. It's just not one of my favorites. Cobra. I picked this up sealed. Classic 80s story. Detroit rogue cop. Sharon Stone's in it. Vanity, who's also on the soundtrack and in the movie, and the ultimate bad guy, Craig T. Nelson, inside of Action Jackson.
You know, an altercation in the old prison shower.
And thank God Craig T. Nelson's squared his life away several years later, moved to Minnesota and become a college football coach, because who knows where he would have ended up. Action Jackson with Carl Weathers. What a kick-ass 80s movie. It's the cheesiest of the cheesy. It oozes 80s cheese like almost nothing else. Great one-liners, explosions, a bunch of nonsense. It's a fun. And the soundtrack, I got this was sealed in my local store, and I passed on it several times. Who could believe this sat there sealed for so long? I mean, you know, I'm probably one of the only people that was interested in this. I mean, obviously, but it's got some pretty interesting stuff on it. The Pointer Sisters is on here. The theme, Action Jackson, is actually pretty damn good. That's by Madam X. Vanity's on here, like I said, she's also in the movie. Sister Sledge, Sky for those slow jams, and one of the earliest iterations of like rap rock maybe was MC Jam and Pee Wee Jam with a track called Protect and Serve. It finishes it up with this kind of like 80s hip hop, but it's got these like live guitar sounds and stuff on it. It's a pretty interesting track. We popped the seal here on the show, and it's a kick-ass movie, man. If you've never seen Action Jackson, do yourself a favor.
How do you like your Ritz?
Watch it on VHS or Laserdisc, for Christ's sakes. All right, moving on. We're going to keep this moving. In my opinion, a piece of Chevy Chase's best work. It's his best work and a more quotable movie, even more so than Caddyshack, and we're talking about Fletch. Fletch is my favorite. It's probably my favorite 80s comedy movie. Whew, that's tough. I don't know if I can say that. It's up there, though. It's definitely up there. And without a doubt, the most quotable movie I've ever seen in my life.
I'll have a Bloody Mary and a steak sandwich and a steak sandwich, please.
I've made friends based off of just quoting Fletch over and over again. But bit by bit, it's kind of the theme that, well, it says the theme, but they actually play it at the end. Stephanie Mills. Who else is on? Dan Hartman, who's on a lot of these 80s soundtracks I'm finding out. But the big kicker here is Harold Faltermeyer. Now, Harold Faltermeyer is the guy that does the Fletch theme, the heavy synth. And then he comes back and does Digging In, and then a track called Exotic Skates. Which Exotic Skates is kind of a reprise of Digging In, sort of. It's kind of a quirky, funny sounding song where he's wearing the like Middle Eastern garb and on the roller skates. So, but I bought it for because I love the movie so much. This is kind of a theme. I bought this stuff because I love the movies so much, and it's just kind of nostalgic to me, and that kind of anything that hits that nostalgic bone, I'm a sucker for. But I've learned, especially late at night, throwing these albums on, I'm like, holy shit, I actually really, really like these songs, and I'm really jamming them. Not ironically, not because they're goofy, but they tickle some kind of bone that other tracks just don't do. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just me hearkening back to youth. I don't know what it is. And now, without further dudes, the number one soundtrack, the most played soundtrack in this studio by far, and old record night heads will know this. It's got everything 80s to perfection. Training montage, beating the Russians, a sexy ass robot. Everything. Nothing said it's 80s like Rocky 4, man. And I don't know what it is. You hit a certain point in the evening, you get a little liquor in, and you're like, hey, man, throw on the Slayer record. Yeah. Then you hit another point where you're like, hey, man, throw on the Chronic. I want to hear the Chronic, And then you hit another point that's even past that where you're like, hey, man, put on the Rocky 4 soundtrack. Or at least for me. And it's usually about 2 or 3 in the morning. And, yeah. But not only does this have Living in America by James Brown, but Hearts on Fire, which is John Cafferty. I guess the Beaver Brown Band was on hiatus then. And who was on the Cobra soundtrack, which also has Stallone. So maybe there's some kind of connection there. But like I said, Living in America, No Easy Way Out. I've wanted a heavy band to cover No Easy Way Out from Robert Tepper. There's Robert Tepper again. That is such a kick-ass song. I don't give a shit. That is such a kick-ass song. I sing that all the time. And the training montage. I love that piece of music they use for the training montage at the end. The most ultimate 80s montage of all time. Probably no record in this collection has been played as much as Rocky 4. If you could believe that. I'm telling you, man. I've been playing this record for absolute, probably a decade strong. I mean, I had it on cassette before now, but anyway, that's it. That's my time. Thanks for watching. And if they try to monetize this video, tell them to send the Underhills the tab.